All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to uncover the shocking historical truth behind a fairy tale you think you know. Look, we're all familiar with the flying carpets, the wisecracking blue genie, and that lovable street rat with a heart of gold. But guess what? The original text paints a wildly different, honestly much more fascinating picture. We're going to completely strip away the pop culture myth and dig into the actual hidden roots of this legendary story.
But before we really get going, I've got a quick question for you. Where do you think the original story of Aladdin actually takes place? Go ahead, picture the setting of this famous tale in your mind's eye for a second. I bet most of you are instantly visualizing a sweeping Arabian desert, right? Or maybe a majestic palace in some fictional Middle Eastern city.
Well, prepare to have your mind blown. The earliest written versions of the story explicitly state that Aladdin lived in China. Yeah, absolutely shattering our modern assumptions. While we've all been conditioned to assume the setting is the Middle East, the actual original text drops our hero squarely into one of the cities of China. It's this massive geographic mix-up that totally flips how we view the story's origins.
Section 1. A cross-cultural secret history.
So let's explore exactly how this geographic mix-up happened by looking at the secret, real-world history of the text itself.
The actual history here brilliantly illustrates how the tale came to be. So, back in the 1700s, there was this French translator named Antoine Galland. He was working hard on bringing the famous 1001 Nights collection to European readers. But here's the kicker. In 1709, Galland met a Syrian storyteller named Hannah Diab in Paris. And it turns out, Aladdin wasn't even in the original Arabic manuscripts, not a single mention. It was actually an orphan tale added to the collection by Galland only after hearing it directly from this Syrian storyteller. And because of this incredibly unique collaboration, the story became a literal melting pot. Storyteller Hannah Diab actually wove in elements from his own real-world travels. He crafted a narrative featuring a Chinese hero, but then completely surrounded him with distinctly Middle Eastern cultural elements. Think sultans, viziers, and bustling marketplaces where the smell of roasting lamb fills the air. It's widely considered a totally cross-cultural creation, born right at the intersection of Middle Eastern oral storytelling and European translation. Section 2. The original folktale. Let's jump into the actual story now and see how it builds a wildly different narrative than the animated movies you grew up with.
Okay, so the true Aladdin, he was a lazy daydreamer, definitely not your heroic diamond in the rough. In the original text, Aladdin is a poor boy who literally refuses to work. He spends his days just sitting on a sun-warmed curb, watching jugglers, and letting his hard-working father, Mustafa, die with absolutely nothing to show for a life of labor except a dusty tailor shop and a pile of thread. He wasn't some misunderstood noble hero. He was just a kid who seriously needed to grow up.
So how does his big adventure actually begin? Well, first, a wicked sorcerer from Maghreb arrives in town, completely lying and claiming to be Aladdin's long-lost uncle. He tricks this hungry, naive kid by promising to make him a wildly wealthy merchant. Now, Aladdin's mom is a bit hesitant at first, but the promise of silver wins them over. Next thing you know, the sorcerer leads Aladdin far out past the city gates, deep into the jagged, dry hills, and eventually uses magic to reveal this hidden metal hatch groaning open right out of the dry earth. Before sending him down into the dark, the sorcerer forces a plain metal magic ring onto Aladdin's finger for protection. Down in the glowing green cave, Aladdin discovers something insane. Actual trees growing straight out of the cavern floor, but their branches are heavy with priceless rubies and pearls. It's like a giant underground treasure chest. But the sorcerer had given him one strict command: completely ignore these mind-boggling treasures and bring back only one specific thing: a simple, dull, tarnished brass lamp sitting all by itself. But you guessed it, here's where things go terribly wrong. When Aladdin climbs back up those stairs, he flat out refuses to hand over the lamp before his quote-unquote uncle pulls him safely out of the hole. The sorcerer flies into this terrifying rage, shuts a string of jagged magic words, and slams the heavy metal hatch shut. Just like that, our young hero is left completely trapped underground in total, terrifying darkness. No food, no light, no way out. Section 3. 2 genies and a ring. Now, here is the absolutely crucial point of the whole story. Aladdin wasn't actually saved by the lamp at first, but by a completely different magical entity. Let's break down the magic in this story. So as Aladdin is sitting there crying in the pitch-black cave, he accidentally rubs that magic ring the sorcerer forced onto his finger. And boom! the ring genie appears. Now, there's a really stark contrast between the genies in this original tale. The ring genie actually has much lesser power. For instance, he can't undo the lamp's magic later on in the story. But his main abilities are teleportation and protection. Plus, he's got a really calm, smooth personality and acts as a helpful ally. He saves Aladdin's life simply by teleporting him right back home to his mother. It's actually only much later, when Aladdin's mother is trying to polish that dusty brass prize with a bit of sand and a rag to sell at the market, that the mighty, massive genie of the lamp makes his thunderous appearance. And this genie? He is entirely different. He is terrifyingly powerful, booming, and strictly obedient to absolutely whoever holds the lamp. When he shows up, Aladdin just asks for some food, and the genie provides the starving mother and son with this lavish, incredible feast served on solid silver plates. Now, this part brilliantly illustrates Aladdin's actual character growth. Instead of immediately wishing for a literal mountain of gold or, absolute power, Aladdin actually learns his lesson. He uses the lamp's magic very carefully to slowly build an honest life as a merchant. He secretly pays off the debts of others and feeds the poor in the city without ever taking credit. Through this hard-earned good reputation, he eventually catches the eye of the Sultan's daughter, and they fall in love. But to prove his worth to a very skeptical sultan, he's tasked with a massive challenge. He has to produce a magnificent palace that totally outshines the sultan's own. Does Aladdin panic? Nope. He simply commands the lamp genie to construct an impossibly beautiful, shining white marble palace literally overnight, and he pulls it off flawlessly. By presenting this magnificent palace and unmatched jewels, Aladdin successfully marries the princess. And because he uses the lamp so rarely and never just to show off, they live perfectly and peacefully. Well, for a few years at least. But remember that wicked sorcerer from Maghreb? Yeah, he hasn't forgotten. He learns of Aladdin's incredible success and comes right back to the city. He disguises himself as a foolish merchant and walks the streets right under the palace windows, shouting, "New lamps for old." He's literally offering to trade bright, shiny new copper lamps for old, dusty ones. The princess, who knows absolutely nothing about the magic of that dusty brass lamp sitting on a shelf, thinks it's the deal of a lifetime. And just like that, the sorcerer successfully tricks the princess into giving away the magic lamp. The very second the sorcerer gets his hands on the lamp, complete disaster strikes. Remember, the powerful lamp genie is completely obedient to whoever holds the brass lamp. So the genie is forced to steal Aladdin's entire palace, with the princess still inside, by the way, and teleport it all the way to the deserts of Maghreb. In the blink of an eye, the sorcerer just rips the palace right out of the ground. Aladdin returns from a hunting trip to find absolutely nothing but a patch of bare dirt where his home used to be. So, how on earth does Aladdin fix this massive disaster? Let's walk through it. First, utilizing the teleportation powers of the lesser ring genie, Aladdin travels all the way to the desert where his palace was moved. Second, he sneaks in and teams up with the princess, who shows some incredible bravery by slipping sleeping powder into the sorcerer's wine during dinner. Third, once the sorcerer passes out cold, Aladdin recovers the lamp and commands the mighty genie to teleport the whole palace back home. And fourth, peace isn't even truly restored until Aladdin defeats the sorcerer's even more dangerous brother, who actually sneaks into the palace disguised as a gentle old healer woman to get revenge. Crazy, right? Section 4, the true lesson. Let's move to our final section and examine what this incredible, totally cross-cultural explainer is actually trying to teach us. There is such a wonderful takeaway here, which is, big wishes are tempting, but courage and wise choices are what truly build a good life. The original folktale isn't just a flashy story about magical beings granting wishes. It's a really profound coming-of-age story. We watch Aladdin shed his laziness, learn to work hard, and discover that true power is actually knowing what not to wish for. He eventually takes over as Sultan, and the city prospers because its leader remembered exactly what it felt like to be poor and hungry, keeping the real magic hidden away for when it was truly needed. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final thought to spark your own imagination. If you found a magic lamp today, what is one wish you would ask for that would help other people, and not just you? It really makes you think about the responsibility of having that kind of power, doesn't it? Thank you so much for exploring the secret history of this timeless tale with me. Keep asking questions and always keep looking beyond the surface.